As it stands today, and for the foreseeable future, football, or soccer as it's known in the United States of America, is the most popular sport in the world. A shared love for association football, or soccer, is a common bond between more than half of the Earth's population. The sports of tennis, football and cricket all originated in England, but are drawn from older games that have been played throughout history. Rugby and American football are similar, but American football players wear much more protective gear than rugby players. Sports are popular for a number of reasons. Keeping healthy, for example, is often cited as a reason for participating in sports, and rightly so too. Others will tell you that they do sports for recreational purposes. Sports are even more popular with people who do not necessarily participate in them, but love being spectators too. And I love watching sport as well as playing sport. Since time immemorial, people have been awed and inspired by extraordinary human beings who are able to perform tremendous athletic feats. We all, at some time in our lives, wanted to be world sporting superstar, to score that winning cup final goal, which I never did, I can assure you, win and run or represent our country on the finest of sporting stages. Oh, the limelight, the glory. So as an insight, here's a brief discussion of the most popular top 10 sports in the world today. So number one is football. Football, better known as soccer in the United States of America and Canada, is the most popular sport in the world, with an estimated following of over 4 billion fans worldwide, and that is literally half of the world's population. Like some of the other sports on this list, the origins of football, as we know today, are in England in the 19th century. Through history, points to people playing similar games as far back as 2,000 years ago, beginning in China. One reason for football's popularity is that unlike other sports that require expensive equipment, all you need to play football is a ball and your feet. But maybe a hand or two in the case of Diego Maradona for Argentina, for example, in the 1986 World Cup quarter-final against England at the Azteca Stadium here in Mexico City, a stadium I've been to twice now, and I went to see a match just last Saturday there. Fabulous stadium. The hand of God indeed, and the sign is outside immortalising Diego Maradona at the Azteca about this particular game. The goal that never was, but given as a goal by the referee. Hence, anyone rich or poor can enjoy the sport. It is played all over the world, but is particularly popular in Europe, Central and South America and Africa. Football being my chosen sport, and fortunate to have played the game at a professional level too in England, whilst also the proud owner of many match-day battle scars, including cuts and broken bones, and many I have, I can assure you. A game thought by many to be the beautiful game. A gentleman's game, in fact, played by thugs, whereas rugby, which we'll talk about later, is a thugs game played by gentlemen. Number two in the world is cricket. Cricket boasts a fan base of 2.5 billion people around the world. The game is most popular in the UK and some former British colonies too, notably India, Pakistan and Australia, also key nations of which have been world champions at some point in time. The game of cricket originated in England, and the world host of cricket is Lord's, a very famous ground in North London. Like baseball, it involves two teams of 11 aside, a bat, a ball and a large field, and scoring runs. The aim being to bowl out your opponent by taking 10 wickets and keeping their run score down to a minimum. The fewer runs, the better. The team with the most runs, there are significant differences however, including a long rectangular pitch at the centre of the cricket field, where the ball is bowled to a batsman, as opposed to a mound at the centre of the baseball diamond facing a batter at the home plate. Number three, and surprising to many I'm sure, is hockey. Hockey both on ice and in field, boasts a following globally of around 2 billion people. Field hockey is mainly played in Europe, Africa, Asia and Australia, whereas ice hockey is particularly popular in Canada, the United States of America and Northern Europe. The game involves two teams trying to put a ball into the opposing team's net with a hockey stick. Unlike ice hockey, field hockey usually does not involve body contact in the form of checking. But I can claim, as an ex-field hockey player myself, the contactless game is not having suffered many cuts, bruises and black eyes myself. It is really quite a contact sport. Tennis, number 4 in the world. An estimated 1 billion people worldwide follow tennis, tuning in from around the world. In tennis, players on both sides of an elongated net try to hit a ball with a racket so that it either goes past their opponents or bounces on their opponent's side twice to score points. Pro tennis players like Roger Federer and Serena Williams are now household names around the world. Tennis again was created as a sport in England, where Wimbledon in the South London remains to this date to be the home of tennis and very much the big prize to win as the June-July World Grand Slam each year. Who remembers the famous John McEnroe? I certainly do. Chants of anger and disgust at Wimbledon in the 1970s and 1980s by John McEnroe. A rant of, "You can't be serious, referee!" and slamming his racket into the Wimbledon playing court, livening up the game and the crowd. Amazing moments. And at number 5 in the global sports, surprisingly, is volleyball. Volleyball involves two teams, each on each side of a raised net, trying to volley a ball into the ground of the opposing team's side for points. The game has a following of 900 million people globally, mostly in North America and Western Europe, but also in Asia, Australia and South America. One particular variant of the game, known as beach volleyball, is played on sand, with 2 people on each team, as opposed to regular volleyball, where there are normally 6 players on each team. It's even been known to have mixed topless beach volleyball. Indeed, a naughty game indeed, I have to say. At number 6 in the world is table tennis. Think of it like tennis, except with what amounts to a table with a net at the centre and players on each side trying to get a ball past their opponents. I played table tennis myself, a very tactical and interesting game. Also known as ping pong, of course. Table tennis originated, dare I say it, in England in the early 20th century. A game is now popular worldwide with an estimated following of over 875 million people. It is especially popular in Asia and China, in particular having produced many world champions, but is also followed in Europe, Africa and the Americas. At number 7 in the world is basketball. Basketball was invented by a gentleman called James Naismith, a Canadian teaching at school in the USA in the late 19th century. Basketball is now played worldwide and has an estimated following of 825 million people. In basketball, 2 teams attempt to dribble a ball up and down a court to shoot it into the raised hoop-shaped net to score points. If you like to run, jump and shoot, then you'll love the game of basketball. Like football, or soccer as it's known in the United States, it is particularly popular because not too much equipment is needed besides 2 baskets and a ball. And so, it's an accessible sport regardless of class. At number 8, baseball. America's national game and pastime is thought to have descended from the English sports nonetheless, rounders and cricket. And what a story to tell your American friends, as rounders in England is predominantly a girls' game. No disrespect to girls, of course, so tongue-in-cheek comments with laughter with reference to America's national pastime. Baseball involves 2 teams trying to hit a ball with a bat between 2 white lines, with the batters running around a series of bases to score runs or points. Today, baseball is popular not only in the US, but also in East Anglia, East Asia and Latin America. The sport has an estimated following of over 500 million fans. At number 9, a fantastic sport, rugby. Rugby has an estimated following of over 475 million people. The sport originated once again in England and is the most popular in the UK, France, Ireland, Italy and other Commonwealth countries like Australia and New Zealand, plus of course Argentina and South Africa. It started in England during a football soccer match, nonetheless, in the town, and not surprisingly named Rugby in England, by a player who got bored and decided to pick up the ball and run with it. In rugby, two teams try to kick, carry or pass ball over an end goal line to score points. But interestingly, the odd-shaped ball must be passed backwards to enable to move forwards. Rugby reference, as early stated, a thugs game played by gentlemen, is a contact sport involving a lot of tackling, similar to American football. But whereas American football players wear a lot of padding and hard helmets to protect themselves, rugby players wear very little protection, if none at all. Rugby players of old would have suffered many broken bones, cuts and bruises, plus more notably the cauliflower ear, caused by ruthless head tackling and head contact in order of the scrum. At number 10, last but not least of course, is golf. An estimated 450 million people and fans of the game that involves trying to put a small ball in a hole with the fewest strokes possible. Golf originated in Scotland in the 15th century. Interestingly, however, the word golf originated in the Netherlands from the word kolf or golf, which translates to club. Golf is particularly popular in Western Europe, East Asia and North America. So what does this mean moving forwards? The future of sports. What is the future of sports? Sports are almost as old as human civilization itself. In fact, historical evidence suggests that human beings have been participating in sports for the last 3,000 years. Many things about sports have changed over that time. Even in fact, love for dynamism and athletic prowess has remained the same. New technology has revolutionised the way many sports are played nowadays. Also relatively new is the concept known as the science of sport, which implies the use of science to improve not only the performance of athletes, but other aspects of sports as well. One of the most recent trends in sports is the move towards making them safer. Thus, athletes in the future may face a lesser risk to their health and well-being than their present or past counterparts, myself included. An example would be my football injury, or my football career ended injuries in the 1980s, with torn and damaged arterial cruciate ligaments. A career-ending injury back in the day, but now repairable with football players and athletes returning from surgery and playing again within 4 to 5 months. So, as they say, it's good night from him and a good night from me. Good night.